This is the Coin Tribes Revolt, Boudicca's Rebellion against Rome, and it is my entry into Board Game Geek's 9-card nano game contest 2018. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and then take several example rounds just to show you how to play. So this game was designed to try and recreate the coin game experience in a microgame format. So the coin games, for those that don't know, stands for counterinsurgency. It's a series of asymmetrical war games designed primarily by Volker Runke, and they take multiple factions that have very different powers, very different win conditions, and it creates very interesting games. And they can be quite complicated. So this was an attempt to boil down the essence of the coin game into a much simpler, smaller format. So the components that you'll need for this game are very simple. There are 9 cards. This is them here. This is the front and the back. And then as well as that, you'll need 18 dice. So preferably 12mm dice, as they'll fit neatly onto the cards. So the 18 dice consist of 4 for each faction, so there's 4 factions, that's 16 dice, and then 2 that are used for tracking the turns and other rolling. So that's the components. Also useful are player aids, so I've made the player aids available as additional cards if you prefer, or they can be just, you can refer to them using the online documents, or just print them off in a larger format if the cards are too small to read. These detail the different actions that each faction can take. Once you've learnt them, you won't need these at all, but initially it's useful to have to refer to. Okay, so that's all the components, and they all fit in a bag smaller than love letter. So the game is set in around 60 AD in Roman-occupied Britain, and involves the Romans and 3 other tribes that were dominant in the southeast of England. They are the Iceni, so this is the main insurgency faction. These are the ones that incited the rebellion. The Trinovantes, they are a neighbouring tribe to the Iceni who were under the boot of the Romans and previously another tribe, and so they readily joined the rebellion. And the third one is the Cativalani, who were the dominant tribe for a long time in the region, and they were about this time a little more Romanized, so they were more willing to work with the Romans. And so this game is all about these different factions trying to achieve dominance in the region. The Romans trying to maintain order, trying to stop the rebellion burning down the cities. The Iceni trying to just basically destroy the Romans, and the Trinovantes and the Cativalani sort of using the chaos and the rebellion to establish themselves a bit more and achieve dominance. So this is the game. I mean, if you want to know more about the history, I detail it a little bit more in the thread on Board Game Geek. I'll also look it up. It's quite interesting. So this is the game set up. You'll notice the map cards. I have the cities with the circles on them, so this means that all the cities are intact still. Once the cities are destroyed, you flip them over to reveal the cross side. Like that. So the initial influence in all the different regions is given here. So the Iceni have 4 units, Cativalani have 4 units, the Romans have 2 and 2, the Trinovantes have 2 and 2 as well, but crucially the Trinovantes have a base in this region here. So their dice, instead of being in the rest of the card, is within this dotted box here to signify that. So this is the initial setup. Also the will cards, so this is tracking the local opinion of the Romans in the various regions. So we have strongly sympathetic here, we have strongly opposed here, and we have weakly sympathetic here. So each region, which is a single card, has these triangles on it, and they match up with the relevant triangle on these cards in order to track the local will. Okay, so this is the map. The dice that haven't been used yet are put to one side, and as more units are put on the map, they'll be used in the future. Okay, we have 4 dice here, which are used for selecting actions and determining turn order. These are the initiative dice. And then, so these are the event cards up here. So these need to be thoroughly shuffled. So they have events both top, bottom, and on both sides. So when you shuffle them, make sure you don't just change the order, but you're also flipping them over to get to both sides, and you're rotating them as well. And to thoroughly shuffle them and make sure that all the events can come out. Okay, once they are thoroughly shuffled, simply tuck them in order underneath the action card here. So the first event will be this top one. Once this is taken, this event becomes available. Okay, so the final thing for setup is the action card. So if you notice round the outside, we have different boxes. These are all the turns. So there's a maximum of 20 turns in any game, and that's split up into different periods. So a period has 4 turns in it. So you'll notice the red numbers, if you're printing it off in colour, separate them out like that. And the tracking die moves along each turn to track what turn we're on. Now, but also tracking that, there is a concept called the reckoning phase. So the game can't be won at any point. It can only happen during a reckoning. So this happens at the end of a turn, depending on what we roll with the spare dice, which I'll detail in a second. And if that happens at the end of the turn, all the different factions need to add up their score and check to see if they've achieved their winning condition. Okay, and the way we work out if we're going to have a reckoning or not is on the first turn in any period, we set the die to 6 and we roll the spare dice. Okay, if this number is equal to or greater than this number, a reckoning is triggered. So in this case it wasn't. On the next turn, we reduce the number by 1 and roll again. Still nothing. Third turn, we roll again. Okay, so this time a reckoning is triggered. So we're increasing the likelihood in a roughly linear fashion until, if the reckoning hasn't been triggered by the 4th turn, then it automatically happens at the end of this 4th turn in any set of 4 in a period. So once we've got to turn 5, the dice goes back to 6 and we carry on. So if it was triggered in the very first turn, it couldn't happen again in 2, 3 or 4. The next time a reckoning phase could happen would be turn 5, and so on. So during this last phase, in the final period, whenever the reckoning is triggered, that is the end of the game. So you don't then carry on to turn 20. This final period is the end game. Okay, so now we're just going to go through a few key concepts. So the first one I'm going to do is control. So in any one region, the faction that is in control is the one that has most influence in that region. Now, influence is made up of 2 things. It's the number of units, each giving 1 influence, and having a base gives 2 additional influence. So that's detailed on the cards there as well. So as an example, in this region there's only 1 faction, so obviously they control it with 4. In this region, the Iceni have 4, the Trinovantes have 2, so the Iceni control it. In this region, they both have 2, the Romans and the Trinovantes, but the Trinovantes have a base as well, so they get an additional 2 to bring their influence up to 4, which beats the Romans 2. If there's ever a tie, then nobody controls the region. So another concept is local will. So this is the initial setup. you'll notice the top region is aligned with strong opposition, it's ×2 opposition. The bottom is ×1 sympathy, so this is weak sympathy. So when you're working out the local will of a region, you simply times the population number, which are these large numbers here, by the number that it's aligned with. So in this case, this region has 2 opposition because it's 1 × 2. This region is 4 × 1 sympathy. This region where there's strong sympathy is 2 × 2 is also 4 sympathy. Obviously, if, for example, the Romans increased the sympathy to strong sympathy in this region, we'd adjust the will like this, and then it would be 4 × 2 is 8 sympathy in this region. Whenever a region becomes neutral, then we turn the card landscape like this, so that no will aligns with the card that is neutral, and we instead use the marks on the ends of the cards for just a single region's will. If both of the regions are neutral, we obviously just remove the card entirely. So during the game, many factions will try and build bases in order to increase their influence and make it harder for other factions to destroy them, because having a base reduces the amount of damage another faction will do when they battle with you. So to build a base, you must spend the required costs. So for Trinovantes it's free, they can just build a base for nothing. For the Romans it costs them 1, so this you'd have to go down to 1 for example, and build a base. The Cativalani it costs them 2, so they'd have to remove 2 units, go like that. Okay, so finally I'm going to show you how to use the action selection cards by taking a few sample turns. So to start the game, we first determine initiative, and we need to break the tie between the Romans and the Trinovantes. So the Romans roll a 1, the Trinovantes roll a 3. So that is the initial initiative order. We also need to determine if we're going to have a reckoning phase. So not the first turn. Okay, so now we begin. So the Iceni are first eligible, so they will take the first actions. Now, the Romans start only in these 2 regions, leaving this one free. So what the Iceni are going to do first up is take the 2 actions in bonus. So they waste one of those actions because they've only got people in one region, but they will march from there to there. And then as a bonus, they're going to raise Verulamium because there are no Romans there, so they outnumber them. So they use their units to do that, but they raise the city. So that changes the local will towards opposition, so that becomes 1 opposition, and Londinium remains at 2 sympathy. Okay, so the Cativalani can either take 1 option to have a single action or the special event, or they can pass. But I think initially they're going to just take a single action, and they're going to rally in Verulamium. There we go. So now any faction that's taken an action moves to ineligible. So they're re-rolled, again breaking ties if necessary, and move to the right hand side of the card. And now the factions that are left, they can take a turn on the next go. So the turn tracker moves over 1, and we show a 5 on it, and we again see if there's going to be a reckoning. Okay, there is, so we're going to have a reckoning after this turn. So the Trinovantes are first eligible. So what are they going to do? Well, first off, they're going to check if anyone's likely to win this turn, if they need to stop that happening. but no one is close, so instead they're just going to build their own capabilities. So the events aren't that useful to them, but they're going to take the two actions and bonus, and they're going to rally in Londinium, and they'll also rally here, and then they will build a base here. Okay, so actually that gives them control here, and control here, plus 2 bases. So that puts them in a winning condition now. And with the reckoning phase coming up, so unless the Romans stop them, they will win this early. So what can the Romans do? So they can take a single action, and what they're going to do is they're just going to destroy the Trinovantes. So they're just going to battle them here. Actually, they'll battle them here. So they normally do 2 damage, but -1 because of the base. So they do 1 damage, so that removes the Trinovantes. Okay, so that's the end of that turn. And now we have a reckoning phase. So first off, we check whether anyone is in a winning condition. So if we just go through the Iceni, have 2 opposition here, 1 times 2. They have 1 opposition here, so that's a total of 3, plus the population of all their raised cities is 1, so they have 4 points. So that's less than 11, so they're not in a winning condition. Trinovantes have control here and here, so that's 2, and base here for 3, but they don't have 5 anymore, so they're not in a winning position. Catavlani have 6 units, and they are in control of this region for a total of 7 points, but that's nowhere near their 15 for a victory condition. And finally the Romans, so they have 2 intact cities, plus 4 sympathy here, 4 sympathy here, for a total of 10. So that's short of their 16. So no one is in a winning condition. So after the winning condition check has happened, then the Romans get to increase sympathy in any 2 regions in which they have presence. One must be an intact city, and the other can be any city. So they only have presence in these 2 regions, which means that they're going to increase sympathy here. Go. So the factions that took turns become ineligible. The factions that were ineligible move up to eligible, and we move to turn 3. So the dice goes to 1 to show that there has been a reckoning, and so the next time a reckoning can happen isn't until turn 5. Okay, so after the reckoning we reshuffle. Get some new events out. So there we go. And the Catavlani are now first eligible. So they are going to take a 2 action and bonus. So they're going to rally in Londinium, and they're also going to rally in Camaldunum, and actually they're not going to take a bonus, so they're going to instead move up to the 2 action only slot. So now the Iceni have the option of taking 1 action or passing, so they can see that the next initiative is quite low, so in fact they're going to pass. So they come down here, and that changes to 3. Okay. So now we move to turn 4. So they move up there, but these also come in eligible, and because they have a high number, they move to the top. Okay, so now turn 4, the Iceni go first. and they are going to, so they're going to take, and they're going to take a 2 action bonus. So they're going to rally in Verolamium and also in this region here. And then as their special action, they are going to inspire. So they're going to convert one of the Catavolani to the Iceni. So they steal a unit, and then they also increase the opposition. So that goes from 1 to 2 like that. And the Trinovantes are second eligible, so they can either take a special action, a single action, or they can pass. So if they did pass, they would be guaranteed to go in first next time, but it would allow the Romans to take an action as well. So I think they might take the special action, and they're going to rally twice in the same region. So they're going to rally here twice. There we go. Okay, so now these move to ineligible. This one moves to eligible. And now, because we've moved to turn 5, the tracking die changes back to 6. So we need to check again. Okay, so the reckoning's not going to happen yet. So the Catavolani are first eligible, and we have a new event available. So that's Londinium Abandoned, so we can move all Roman units from a region you control and then remove a base if present. Or you can take the card, and until the next reckoning, instead of taking damage in a battle, you can just retreat to an adjacent space. So what the Catavolani are going to do, they're just going to build up their forces, I think. So they're going to just take 2 actions. So they're going to rally here and here. So they're not in control of either of these. So they can only rally 1, which leaves the Romans either 1 action or pass. So passing would not get them first eligibility next time, so they're just going to take the 1 action. And they are going to, well, they're going to battle, I think. So they're going to battle here. So they do 2 damage, so they're just going to eliminate the Trinovantes. So these move ineligible. These move to eligible. And we move to turn 6. So still no reckoning. Okay, so the Trinovantes are first up. Now then. So they want to get rid of the Romans in this region, so I think what they're going to do, if they battled, they'd only do 1 damage, because the tribes are half as strong as the Romans. So instead they're going to use the special event. So they're going to come down here, they're going to take the special, rather than using it to damage the Romans. I think what they're going to do instead is they're going to take the card. So this will protect them against battle damage until the next reckoning. Okay, which leaves the Iceni with a 2 action and bonus slot if they want it. So they're going to take that, and they're actually going to, oh, this is interesting. So because the Romans only have 2 units in Camaldunum, the Iceni can actually destroy this now. So the Iceni are very mobile, they can move to any region. So what they're going to do is they're going to move 2 units from this region into here, and also 2 units from here as well. So that's going to leave them 4 in this region, which outnumbers the Romans. So as their bonus, they're going to destroy Camaldunum. So that costs them 2 units. and increases opposition in this region, so that goes down to 1 sympathy. Okay, so these move to eligible, these go to ineligible. Okay, so still no reckoning, so that means we're guaranteed to get one on turn 8. Okay, so because there are no events, any discarded events are reshuffled. So the one the Trinavantes took last time is going to be kept by them. So it's just the 1 card that I'm shuffling. And we're going to have the Rampaging Britons event. And the Cateblani might use that. Are they? No, actually they're not. They're going to just take a rally action. So they'll get 1 here and 1 here. 3 each. And then as their bonus, they're going to... Okay, they outnumber the Trinavantes here, so they're going to just use the sack action to remove their base. So that goes like that. And this becomes more neutral, so it becomes entirely neutral. That goes like that. Okay. So now the Romans, conscious of a reckoning phase coming up very shortly, so they're going to pass, you know. So that means that the Iceni won't get another turn until the next reckoning. So there we go. So they're going to pass, and these become ineligible. Okay, so we move on to the last turn of the period. So the reckoning happens at the end of the turn, and the Romans are first eligible. So the event doesn't interest them, so they're going to take at very least 2 actions, possibly the 2 actions and bonus. Yeah, they're going to do some battling. I think they're going to keep the tribes down. So they're going to do 2 damage here, so that gets rid of the Trinavantes. Do 2 damage here, and then they're going to suppress the Iceni, change them to 1, and move them back up here, and that increases a sympathy here. So this goes from 2 opposition and neutral to 2 opposition and 1 sympathy. Okay, and then the Trinavantes with their turn. So they need to get more units back on the board. But actually what they're going to do is they're going to take the special. So they're going to take a march action, then a battle action. So they're going to move 2 troops in here, and then they're going to attack the Cateblani, reduce them to 2. Okay, so then these go ineligible. Break that tie. Okay, so it stays like that. The Cateblani move back to eligible, but anyone that's left here previously breaks the tie with anyone else, so they stay first eligible. Okay, and then we have the reckoning phase for turn 8. So, well, no one's in a winning position still. The Iceni now have 5 points from raised population, and they have 4 from the 2 strong opposition at the top. So that leaves them on 9. So they're just 2 short of their win position now. The Trinavantes have control nowhere and bases nowhere, so we're actually on 0 at the moment. Cateblani have 8 points from their units, and they are in control of 1, so that's a total of 9. And the Romans, so they have 4 sympathy here, 4 sympathy there for 8, and 1 attack city for 9, so they're way short of their 16 win condition. Okay, so no one's won, but the Romans can increase the sympathy wherever they have presence. So they're going to increase that to strong sympathy, and on we go. So turn 9, we can have a reckoning straight away, but we aren't going to. Okay, and then we reshuffle the events. Okay, so we have the Battle of Watling Street and Rampaging Britons back again. Okay, so the Iceni are first eligible. What they're going to do is rampage again. So they're going to take 2 actions plus a bonus because the Romans just don't have enough troops on the board. So they're going to move from here to here, and they're going to move from here to here as well. So that's going to give them 3 in this region, which outnumbers the Romans, and as their bonus, they're going to raise it. Like that. So that costs them 2 units, so they've only got 1 on the board right now. But it does increase opposition in that region, so that goes to 1 sympathy. Okay, now the Catavolani. So they could take a special, but actually there'll be no use to them unless they want to protect themselves, possibly. But I think they're just going to keep it simple, and they're going to increase their units here, so they take control of this region now. So these move to ineligible, these move to eligible, and we move to turn 10. Okay, still no reckoning. Okay, so now the Romans are first eligible, and they urgently need to get some more sympathy and some more units on the board. So they are going to take, in fact they're going to take the special, because they're going to take this one, so they're going to take a battle in this region. So they do 2 damage, so they can destroy both units, because they can split the damage amongst the tribes. So they're going to kill both of those, and that also increases sympathy, so that goes up to 4 like that. Which allows the Trinovantes to have 2 actions and bonus. So what they're going to do is, okay, so they're going to rally in here, rally in here, and then they build a base here. Okay, so these go ineligible. These become eligible. We're on turn 11 already. Still no reckoning, so we know we're going to have one at the end of the next round. So the Iceni have no units on the board right now, so all they can do is rally. So they're going to take 2 actions at the top to rally, so they're going to rally in rally in these 2 regions. Okay, now the Catavolani either take a single action or pass, but because it's a 6 here, they know they're not going to be first eligible, whatever, so they're going to take a single action. And they are going to rally. They're just going to rally here. So they go ineligible, these become eligible, and we move to the final turn of this period again. So there's going to be a reckoning at the end of this. So the Trinovantes are first up. So you can see that the Iceni have got 7 plus 4 is 11 points, so they're still in a winning position right now. They're going to assume that the Romans are going to try and deal with that. So they're going to use this instead to fortify their own position. So they're going to rally twice, here and here, and then build a base there. Okay, so now this puts the Romans in a small dilemma because both the Iceni and the Trinovantes are now in a winning position. The Trinovantes have control of 3 regions plus 2 bases, that gives them 5, and the Iceni have 11, as previously discussed. So the Romans need a way of somehow reducing both of them. So what they're going to do, they've only got one action to do it in. They can't. Okay, got one action or special. So they can't defeat both of them, and they can't actually stop the Iceni at all. So they're going to have to battle the Trinovantes. Yes, so what they're going to do is they're going to take the special, and they're going to take one march action, then one battle action. So they're going to march from here to here, and then take a battle action. So they're going to remove this entirely, so do 2 damage, and there we go. So we do a reckoning phase at the end of here. So the Romans have 12 points from sympathy and no cities intact, so they finish on 12. The Trinovantes have control in 2 locations and 2 bases, so they've got 4 points, so they're close. The Catavellani have 9 units and control in 1 region, so that's 10. But the winners are the Iceni, who have 4 opposition plus the population of 7 for 11 points. So there we go. That's Coin Tribes. So I hope you enjoyed that little look at the game. It's still fairly early in its development, so there's plenty of balancing still to do. If you print it out and have a go, or even try the tabletop simulator mod, I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on it, and any feedback is very gratefully received. Thank you very much.